Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday to all of you. I was gonna say happy Wednesday to those who celebrate. I'm Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor today. I'm back for Larry tomorrow and Friday. Sitting alongside my good friend Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
It is 8:07 a.m. here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. We're very excited. We're going to have Anna Giaritelli on with us at 8:35. Boy, I can't get that out, can I? I need Surrey to do the show for me as well, Julie. She is a reporter for the Washington Examiner. See, I listen to you when you talk. Washington Examiner, and she's an assault survivor. We're going to talk about what's going on with crime in D.C. Very excited. I follow her on Twitter. You should follow her as well. Her name is Susan Ferrechio. She's a national politics correspondent for the Washington Times. You can find her at Susan Ferrechio on social media. And Susan, I guess we're still doing this thing. Congress is coming back into session. We haven't learned our lesson from the past, but we certainly haven't learned our lesson from the past regarding government shutdowns. What's going on as Congress comes back to Washington, D.C.?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, yes, you put it perfectly. There has never been, in the past 2 decades, a real resolution to these spending fights, and so they're at it again. They are back from their recess that was several weeks long throughout August, and now they're facing this real crunch time on passing the federal spending bills. The deadline is September 30th. That's the end of the fiscal year. And so if in an ideal world, they would have passed individually the 12 spending measures that fund the federal government, and that would have passed through both chambers and been signed by the president all ahead of the end of the fiscal year. But that hasn't happened in a really, really long time. So here we are again, trying to kind of cram everything through at the last minute. And
right.
So it's September 3rd, which gives them several weeks now. People would say, well, geez, that's no time at all. But for Congress, it's a long time. They've got a few weeks to really argue about things. They just came back yesterday, and so the bickering has just begun. And it looks like a lot of the fighting, of course, is going to center on President Trump, surprise,
right.
surprise. And that's one of the big sticking points now in the Senate is the president wants to use an unusual tactic known as the pocket rescission and try to claw back some money. Remember, he ran on one of his many promises was to reduce the spending in Washington that has
right.
gotten so out of control. So he wants to claw back some money. And you know, Republicans would normally go along with that, most of them, because they say, great, let's stop spending so much money and put some back in the Treasury. But what it does is it makes it more difficult for them to negotiate with Democrats who clearly are not going to go along with it. And there are some Republicans, like moderate Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who doesn't like it either, because let's face it, Congress really has only one job. They can come to Congress and sit around all day and do nothing, but they have to once a year pass spending, or more,
right.
in their case, more than once a year, because they can't get it all done at once. So they are very territorial about this. They don't like the other branch usurping that power from them. So that's a big sticking point right now. And the other really interesting storyline going on Capitol Hill right now are the Epstein files that have kind of sucked all the oxygen out of the room over on the House side. And that is because there are a couple of lawmakers who are pushing for a discharge petition, which is another special tactic that you can use to try to force a floor vote. And they're collecting signatures. They need 218 signatures. And they are, I think, 2 votes away from probably accomplishing that. They need 2 Republicans. But it's gotten super interesting, though, guys, because the victims of Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking ring were on Capitol Hill yesterday, meeting with lawmakers. They'll be back today talking to the public. And they are expressing real concerns
Susan,
that some of these files will expose them, and they want protection.
So I guess Nancy Mace left a meeting in tears yesterday over this. But here's my question, right, as we're doing this, because the Democrats finally are all about getting the Epstein files released. Maybe that's where the horse trading can come in. Hey, let us claw back this money, and we'll go and we'll release these Epstein files. But also, this discharge petition is putting a bunch of Republicans at odds with the White House, isn't it?
That's right. So they've come up with sort of a secondary measure. Usually in a case like this, like the Republicans will come up with something similar, but not as politically uncomfortable, and that gives them sort of plan B. Vote for this, and it looks like you cover for yourself. But I think the other issue, I think it's losing steam in some ways, because last night the House Oversight Committee, which had subpoenaed the Justice Department for these documents, received the first tranche of documents from the Justice Department. They uploaded them so the public can review these files, all 34,000 pages. Wow. That will, I think, sap some of the energy from this effort to push this vote on the floor. Now, these Republicans and Democrats who want the vote, they plan to try to push forward with it, but it's a little less certain now that these victims are expressing concerns about whether they will be exposed or rather protected if this stuff is released the way the House vote would have it done versus the House Oversight Committee, which is redacting some stuff. Like some of the pages we received last night. I reviewed some of the files, not all 34,000 pages, but some of the pages are just fully redacted. The pages are just blank pages. And there wasn't a ton
Susan,
of new
shame
stuff
on
in
you
there
for not being able to read all 34,000 last night. Sorry,
Exactly.
Julie, I know you had a
and
question.
I'm a speed reader, too.
Yeah.
Susan, really quickly, it seems like daggers are out for RFK. No surprise there, but Schumer is now calling for him to be dismissed. And the hyperbole is off the chart. He said Americans are in greater danger every day. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. remains as HHS secretary. I mean, he has assembled just a star staff. Marty McCary, Jay Bhattacharya, who have come to his defense over the last couple of weeks. What do you think in terms of what will there is going to be a hearing, you write, in the Senate Finance Committee. What do you think of, what is the support for RFK up on the Hill? What does it look like?
He's a tough one for, even if Republicans really all didn't like him, which is not true. It would be tough to push someone like him out. He's one of the big stars of the Trump administration. Right. He campaigned with Trump. He's one of the pivotal figures in the campaign. Right. MAHA is a national movement. Trump loves RFK. So that alone, I think, would make it difficult to weaken him to the point where he is somehow ousted. I know there are some lawmakers who are very concerned, who are Republicans, Bill Cassidy among them, over the vaccine policy, fellow physicians on Capitol Hill who don't like what he's doing. But that, I think it lays right there. He's going to get a lot of scrutiny. And of course, you had the 1,000 HHS workers calling for his resignation following the ouster of the CDC director. So there's a lot of controversy happening. People love MAHA, but they're showing some concern over the vaccine policy. That's where it lays right now, and I think you're going to see a lot of scrutiny on the latter there, where they're really focusing on the CDC and vaccine policies. I don't see him being pushed out at the moment, but he's certainly something there's a buzz about what he's doing right now and the additional scrutiny on him.
Well, Susan Ferrechio, Congress is back. You got lots to cover. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Susan.
Thanks, everyone.
Go and check her out if you don't want to find it can be a tough name to spell. Follow me at Andrew_Langer on Twitter. Sorry, it's been a day. Susan Ferrechio, I will spell Ferrechio. See, I can't even spell it when I'm reading it. But we're following her now. It is 8:15 a.m.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Now, Julie Gunlock. I don't know if you remember, but there was at one time a very popular host on CNN, and his name was Don Lemon. Now, I know it's a long time ago. Yeah, exactly. And he's now on this platform called Substack, where a lot of folks are going to Substack.
Yeah.
And the thing about Substack, it's like podcasting, you got to find
everybody's on Substack. You get fired, go to Substack.
Yes,
right?
and everybody's trying to break through on Substack. And so Don Lemon had this brilliant idea to come down. I guess he's based in New York. He must have taken the Amtrak train. By the way, the Amtrak train, I'm sure he took the super fast Amtrak train, which actually isn't super fast. It parts you from your money much, much more quickly. And he goes to Union Station, and by the way, it's very easy to walk around Union Station nowadays because you're not being harassed.
And you don't have to deal with the smell of urine.
Right.
Nice.
I mean, there aren't any shops in Union Station, and there are only a handful of restaurants, but still. And he just starts harassing these poor National Guard guys who are just trying to do their job.
Jerk.
Let's start here. Let's play cut number 30.
Hi guys, how are you? Hey, how are you? How do you feel being here? Great question.
To the state PAO's office. Thank you.
That's it? You guys aren't talking?
Yeah, state PO, sir. I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you very much.
Right. That's what you're supposed to do. It's like if I get a call from a member of the press in my job, I don't answer it. I go and I have to refer. The word is that I refer them to the official spokespeople of an organization. But it didn't stop there. Because he decided to make the trek up to Capitol Hill from Union Station, and he, of course, decides he's going to go to Marjorie Taylor Greene's office.
Right.
Let's play cut 31.
We're here with the folks to see the Congresswoman.
Yeah. She's not available right now. I'm so sorry about that.
Is she in?
You guys can contact the office at a different time if you guys would like a meeting with the Congresswoman.
Well, can we leave word for her?
Sure, you guys can pass along the comment.
Yeah, we would like to make sure that she knows that we need to get Donald Trump impeached and out of office.
Well, there
My
you
name is
go.
Carlos Alvarez Hernandez. I'm the founder of the
Okay.
American Opposition. I'm sure
I'll
you've
write
seen
that
the
down. Hold on, we can stop. They're like, I'll write that down.
I mean, isn't it nice to harass these young staffers, right? They're like probably just off an internship, and you harass them with cameras. So charming.
How do you
Coming
write
off
down-
really nice.
I like the staffer, it's a staffer now because the interns have all gone back to school. Staffer writes, okay, guy with Don Lemon, note to MTG, wants to see Donald Trump impeached. Yes, sir. We'll get right on that. I mean, this is. Oh my God, this is insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and
By the
honestly,
way,
so is Don Lemon. He's ridiculous, and
I'm worried about the guy with him. Hold on, play cut, Michael. Play cut 31 again.
We're here with the folks to see the Congresswoman.
Yeah. She's not available.
I'm worried about the guy huffing
breathing.
and puffing. Yes, I mean it's like maybe you need to go along and take him along with Brandon Johnson, the mayor. By the way, hold on for a second. I want to come back to this because we got a couple minutes here. I want to come back to this. That is a story that I hadn't heard. That Mark Vargas was talking about. Brandon Johnson apparently had gone for panic attacks. I Googled that. It's no major news sources are talking about it, but it's apparently chatter behind the scenes.
He said like a dozen times. That's
No, up to 40 times.
Oh no!
Oh
really?
yeah. Apparently up to 40 times, which is just crazy here. Here we got this. They were told to leave, and then they were reprimanded by the Capitol Police. Let's play cut 32.
All right.
Maybe, just maybe, if you weren't making a jerk of yourself, you would have been
but I mean, you
to
think
stay.
about Don Lemon. You think about this guy had this. He had his own show on CNN. Then he had co-hosts who he treated like crap, and then he gets fired, and then he starts this Substack, and then he's now reduced to, harassing National Guard and walking and harassing, front office staff at a congresswoman's office, and hanging out with these professional protesters. I mean, he has fallen quite a bit, and it's kind of embarrassing. I'm sure he probably makes a lot of money on his Substack because if you have, if you have 100,000 followers and they pay you $1, there you go, for a year, there you go. And I'm sure he has a lot more than 100,000. So you can make a lot of money, but just where's your dignity? Where's your sense of also decorum? And I just love how the left always talks like, they're the ones who are, so on the up and up, and then you're reduced to this kind of embarrassment. It's really, really interesting how the arc of his career, not good.
Well, it also, karma is a female dog, as it is. Listen, more to come here. Right now, it's 8:22 here on WMAL.
Coming up, we're going to talk to one of our favorites, Anna Giaritelli. She's an assault survivor and a Washington Examiner reporter. She'll discuss D.C.'s crime crackdown and the big press conference coming up today. Keep it here. It's 8:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Well, hey there, everybody. It is 8:37 a.m., and we are WMAL, News Talk 105.9. We are making sense of the news. I'm Andrew Langer, sitting alongside Julie Gunlock. And I got to tell you something, Julie. You know, because I text you incessantly when you're on the air with Larry and you say something funny or interesting, because you know that I'm listening. Larry doesn't respond. You respond. Therefore, you get the text messages. And nor should Larry respond while he's on the air. But listen, you guys did an interview with our next guest a couple of weeks ago, and it struck me. And I was so glad she was on with you and telling her story with you. Her name is Anna Giaritelli. She is a Washington Examiner reporter, but she's also an assault survivor. She is writing a book right now on this, and your interview with her was so fascinating and heartening. I'm so glad. I'm grateful that Heather has her on with us. First of all, Anna, how are you doing right now? Just let's do a check in there.
I am doing well. It's been
Good.
5 years. I'm in Washington today to talk about this publicly, and I'm doing well. I'm ready to share my story with everyone who's willing to listen.
Well, let's start here. Just quickly explain what happened. I mean, it is really literally. When I say Kafkaesque, I mean literally. It's like something that Kafka could have written or Dostoevsky could have written in terms of the breakdown in what happened. Remind us all what happened with your story.
Of course, yeah. In 2020, I'd been running errands, walking down the street on Capitol Hill by Union Station, safe area, and was randomly attacked by a homeless man who lunged at me, put his arms around me, pinned me down, and sexually assaulted me. Broad daylight, in a public area. And someone saved me. A couple people ran over. He got away that day. Through DNA on my clothing, police figured out we've already arrested this man. He has a criminal history. They got him off the street 3 months later. And the next day, the judge released him from jail. Insane. And in the year and a half that it took to go to trial, he ended up taking a plea deal. But in that period, he was arrested 5 more times on Capitol Hill, including for wielding a machete. And the judge let him out of jail the following day in those circumstances. And now, what happened to me, he went to prison, but it's not in the D.C. crime stats because it wasn't the top tier sex abuse crime. And so, so that is my full story.
But we're so grateful. And I am so grateful to you because I think a lot of people would experience this. I'd probably be like this, right? I'm like, I just want it to go away. I don't want to think about it. But you really did pursue this and find out that it wasn't included in the stats, which is just, mind-boggling to me, but it's one of the reasons that a lot of people can say, oh, crime isn't that bad. So your exposing this was so important, Anna, and I want to kind of get your thoughts on what's happening today. Tell us, you are going to be up on Capitol Hill. What is happening today?
Yeah, so like you guys, I'm a news reporter. I don't take sides on policies or lawmakers, but I was invited by Senator John Cornyn of Texas to come to Capitol Hill, to come to the Capitol, and share my story during a press conference that he and 7-8 other senators are going to be holding today to talk about crime in D.C. And so that was an opportunity that, was rarely afforded to victims to speak and share their experiences. And that's all my hope is, right? I'm not making the laws, but in sharing my story, we can get a better understanding of, what the issues are and people can put forward, ways to address those things better.
And here's what gets me about this, Anna, and our guest is Anna Giaritelli. She's a reporter for the Washington Examiner. She's writing a book about her experiences here, and she's doing this press conference today. Is that you're a reporter? You have you took the great step. You took great courage for you to come out and talk about this traumatic experience for you. But for every Anna Giaritellis that are out there, there are thousands, I would say, in places like Baltimore and Chicago and elsewhere who are facing the same kind of bizarre, backwards criminal justice systems where, criminals are getting arrested. There's a revolving door. They're put back out on the street. And in between, when they commit horrific crimes, they are arrested again over and over again. And yet you've got folks like J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson and Brandon Scott in Baltimore who won't do anything about it. That's the point of this press conference today, is to highlight that there are real victims out there, and that's why something needs to be done, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? If you don't understand the extent of crime, like my crime doesn't exist according to these
right.
Police, how can you fix the problem or understand the breadth of it? And so that's why, I would love, if I got a perfect outcome out of this, I would love to see DC police say, all right, we're putting forward all different degrees of sex abuse crimes, and all felonies are going to be on the map, and even color-coded, show which are convictions, which were charges, which were arrests and nothing happened. Like, sure. But if we're going to address this, whether it's the Bowser administration or the Trump administration, we need to know what exactly we're dealing with. So that's why.
Anna, it's interesting because when we had on Mark Vargas a little while ago, who's with the Illinois Review, and talking about Chicago, and he was talking about sort of the magical thinking that's going on in Chicago with their mayor, Brandon Johnson, and some of it is the magical thinking by the left here in D.C. There was a Soviet agronomist named Lysenko who essentially wrecked Soviet agriculture by putting forth these bizarro, unbased in reality economic or agronomic theories, biological theories we call Lysenkoism. There's a certain degree of Lysenkoism here where it's a garbage statistic going in, and if you don't understand the real problem, you can't have a solution. That's what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, listen. All the best to you today. We're so, as Julie said, we are so grateful that you came on with us, and I know Larry and Julie are going to want to have you back. Not that I want to speak for them; we're going to speak for them there. But thank you so very much for coming on today.
Thanks, Anna. It's my pleasure. And 11:45 is the press conference. It'll be on YouTube.
11:45 is the press conference. Anna Giaritelli is the reporter, and I'm going to spell this out: ANNA_GIARITELLI on X, on Twitter. Follow her. We can't wait for the book to be released. You take care. Listen, we got so much more to get to. It's 8:44 here on WMAL.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
First of all, it's crazy that there are accidents on either side of the Wilson Bridge right now as I'm looking at the map here. And Heather, listen, you're throwing me under the bus. You keep sending me these names I can't pronounce. This is we got this
Katie
actually,
Miller.
Yes, Katie Miller. I can't pronounce it. Or Elon Musk. No, listen. The subject of the next segment. We've got the co-founder of Airbnb, Joe Gebbia. I'm going to say Gebbia. It's probably Gebbia. Yeah. Talks about his journey. I do love these stories of political transformation.
Yeah,
Gebbia. It's like the time that my mom went to the White House when my middle brother was leaving the White House. And she got to go meet President Bush, and with my brother, and she's like, well, what do I say to the president? And I say, well, tell him that you didn't vote for him in 2000, but you voted for him in 2004 when it really counted. And she said, well, really? Will he like that? I said, absolutely, he will love it. And of course, W did. But these are great stories. Here is the Joe Gebbia talking about his movement. Let's go ahead and we'll start this. Let's go ahead and play cut 33.
Mid-2021, the activity at the border caught my attention, and I just remember thinking, what's going on with this topic? It seems as if there's no border. And as it got worse that year, I felt like I needed to understand this problem more. So I reached out to my friends, largely on the Democratic side of the House, at all levels, from the highest level all the way down, and had conversations just trying to piece together, like, hey, what am I missing about this? Like, fill me in. I got some answers, but felt unfulfilled. And so, I've been lucky enough to call Josh Kushner, one of my close friends, for a long time. Through him, I've gotten to know Jared. And so I get on the phone with Jared and say, hey, can you help me fill in the gaps for me? Like, what am I missing here? Is this normal? Like, it seems there's no enforcement of our own border. Like, don't nations need borders to be a nation? Kind of. And so he put me on this curriculum.
All right, we can
just
end it
talking
here.
to.
Listen, it underscores what Newt Gingrich said, which is that all politics is personal. By the way, this note: his wife is a woman named Isabel Bomeki, also known as Isodope. She's a fashion model, social media personality. This is what I love. She promotes the benefits of nuclear energy and its role in solving climate change. And I've said this before: if you are a leftist and you do not believe in nuclear power, you promote the climate change agenda, but you don't believe in nuclear power, for you it's political as opposed to science. I'm sorry, Julie, go right ahead.
No, I was just listening to him. It's interesting how, he's really trying to work this out. He's reaching out to friends. He said he talked to Democrats, and then he wanted to talk to those sort of, in the Trump world. And he's changed his mind. He's left the Democrat Party. He's now a supporter of President Trump. And it is really important to remember that conversations matter. People sharing
100%.
their positions, sharing their thoughts on very important, weighty policy issues. This is how it used to be. And that is why Musk taking over Twitter was so critical. We would not be where we are today if it weren't for Elon Musk taking over Twitter, and which is now called X, and celebrating free speech. Look, I am the first to say there are a lot of problems on that platform. There are things that should not be on that platform, including pornography that really is, it's unfortunate that's even allowed. And there's some other things that are really unfortunate. But by and large, the preservation of free speech in this country is largely due to Elon Musk buying that platform. And thank God he did, because what you're seeing here, what that man described, is what we see every day on that platform. And we would be silenced, we would be shut down, we would be canceled if it were not under the control of Elon Musk. So I think this conversation is really important for people to remember when, yes, there's problems with X, I get it, but we would really be in a bad spot. This country would really be in a bad spot if it weren't for X.
The only answer to speech we don't like is more speech, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. It's 5:52 here on O'Connor & Company, WMAL.